to the School of Code. It's time to resume our learning on Zoom. Get out the breakout rooms and get together.
Okay, guys, are we feeling engaged and ready to start? Can you give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go? Let's see. Oh, great. Becky's got a thumb up, so we're all ready to start.
No.
Ready.
Oh, confusing. I couldn't tell how everyone was feeling, which is a typical problem we have over remote lectures where it's difficult to get quick feedback that includes everyone. We aim to solve this problem with our application, EngageMate, a remote learning companion tool to measure and track engagement in real time. We're the Callback Cats. Let's introduce the team.
Hello, I'm James. I've been a HGV driver for the last 15 years, discovered coding while studying with the Open University, and now making the move from driver to developer thanks to the School of Code.
I am Carl. Before School of Code, I was a print production manager for 15 years. Now, instead of printing books and stickers, I'm printing code and producing applications.
Hello, I'm Jess. I trained to be an artist. In my final year of uni, I did a bit of work with Arduinos, which sparked my initial interest in learning to code. I want to work in tech to find a middle ground between hands-on creativity and problem solving.
Hi, I'm Hazy. I was teaching English in Japan and India, aiming to inspire individuals. But now I'm on a new adventure to broaden my horizons and make a global impact with code.
I'm Becky. Before SSC, I was a carer looking after my family. I got interested in coding so I could have a career more than a job, with the end goal not dreading the alarm clock going off in the morning, other than it being in the morning.
Hi, I'm Kumi, and before School of Code, I led marketing at a clean energy startup. I loved creating campaigns for green technologies, but I quickly realized that I'm part of the teams who are building the tech. So let's look at the problem we're solving.
Yeah, so due to the global pandemic that we're still dealing with almost a year later, those who can have taken to remote delivery platforms like Zoom to work or deliver their teaching online. Platforms like Zoom are brilliant. They allow users to connect and collaborate from their homes, but there are some areas that are lacking, particularly the use of these services for remote learning. The School of Code came to us with the problem of improving remote teaching delivery to encourage engagement and participation from bootcampers throughout lectures. We found that delivering lectures remotely can be really challenging for the coaches as they don't get the same live feedback and reception that they would in real life. We decided that lecturers needed an effective way to anonymously gauge consensus across a group. We also found that some of the common features already on these platforms that could potentially help with these problems are not utilized enough and could be enhanced or customized for our client, the School of Code. So we're super excited to show you our solution, EngageMate. It's an engagement tool used to encourage participation in remote learning. It's a full stack application built to be used alongside a video call service to give additional and enhanced features. We've customized EngageMate for the School of Code, so it has all of the fun and the energy that makes the bootcamp so great. EngageMate solves our problem as it allows coaches to get instant feedback from bootcampers who are spread all across the West Midlands, creating a way better remote teaching experience for both parties. Now I'll hand you over to Becky, who's going to talk you through our user personas.
We created user personas based on our primary client base, School of Code. Meet Ben. Ben is one of the wonderful coaches at School of Code. His main experience of remote teaching delivery is giving lectures and conducting workshops. Ben wants to make sure the interest and passion he has for what he is teaching comes across most of all, sparking enthusiasm. Distance complicates Ben gauging how everyone is feeling. In a room, this is easy as you can see people's faces, even feel the atmosphere. Bootcampers, aka us. Bootcampers' main experience with remote teaching delivery is as a recipient. When participating, bootcampers want to be intrigued and fascinated by what they are learning. For some, this may be the first time they've ever seen coding, and it could be overwhelming. The bootcamper, as well as Ben, doesn't want that to affect their experience. Now we're going to give you a run-through of our app, EngageMate.
So when Ben begins a remote lecture, he can run EngageMate alongside his remote delivery platform, which for the School of Code is Zoom. And on the left-hand side, we can see Ben's view as a coach in dark mode. And on the right-hand side, we can see the participant or the bootcamper's view in light mode. So for this demo, the Callback Cats will be responding live from our devices as participants. And once logged in through Auth0, all users are redirected to the feature menu landing page, where here Ben has full access to the various engagement features that he can use to interact with participants.
So once the Zoom lecture continues, Ben might begin to wonder how his explanations are landing with the bootcampers. So let's say he wants to get a general temperature check to see how everyone is following along. So for this, EngageMate has a unique interactive feature, the thermometer. We really enjoyed building this feature, so let's see how it works. First, Ben will want to alert the boot campers with a notification, so they'll know the session is about to begin. This notification goes app-wide. Then he'll set a question and an amount of time for the responses to come in. These can be preset or with custom options. Once he clicks Start Timer, the session begins and responses can come in. The participants respond with an intuitive slider, as demonstrated by the Callback Cats team. WebSockets allowed us to get this dynamic real-time connection between the users simultaneously. And once the time's up, the results come in, giving a visual overall consensus of the group's responses. So in summary, the thermometer is a quick, anonymous tool for real-time feedback. But after getting this worrying result from the thermometer, Ben might want to take some time to answer the boot campers' questions. So for this, he can use the navigation bar at the top to move to the raise a hand page and see if there are any questions. Jess is going to talk us through this feature.
Thank you, Hazy. So if you've used Zoom, you'll know that it already has a hand raise feature, but the user experience of it isn't great. It's hidden away and Ben isn't notified when someone raises their hand, meaning those who do raise their hand can be missed. He might carry on with the lectures before answering the questions, which sometimes leaves us boot campers confused or overwhelmed with all the concepts. Participants can raise their hand in a lecture by pressing on the hand raise icon and submitting a topic alongside it. When submitted, the coach can instantly see the hand raises. We've implemented desktop notifications using Push.js and app notifications using Chakra Toast pop-ups. Ben gets notifications in real time, allowing him to keep track of hand raises, answering them when he can, keeping boot campers engaged and up to date. The hand raises are displayed in chronological order, and Ben can lower hands as he answers questions, meaning the hand raises on the feature are realistic to who is still waiting for their question to be answered. Another great feature is our live quiz. Our live quiz feature offers interactive voting. Ben can input his question to check participants' understanding with an optional number of answer choices. So you submit a custom question, and you can add up to 4 options. You then input the answer options for each one. And then you can choose which one is correct based on the radio buttons at the side. When the quiz is submitted, it's immediately received on the participants' view where they can select their best guess. The live results are visible to Ben, and the final results of all of the responses are displayed to all the users in a visual chart when he ends the poll. Now I'll hand you over to James, who's going to talk you through our admin page.
Yeah, and this is the nerve center of the app, and it's from here that Ben can perform tasks like managing authorized users. This can be by adding individually or in bulk by uploading a spreadsheet. But here you can also view and analyze the thermometer session data. This page, along with some of the other app features, is using the REST API we created with Express to communicate back and forth with the database. Also, this is where Ben can send custom notifications across the app about important events or about certain tasks. This particular feature is using WebSocket connections to achieve the required functionality. Now let's have a look at one of our bonus features, the DJ deck.
Thanks, James. Now, this is one of my favourite parts of remote learning that I find particularly engaging, and probably my favourite part of the app as a whole, and that is the use of sounds and music. Now, Ben has made a few jingles to help break the silences that are inevitable over Zoom, such as this little tune that we use for hackathons every week. Or a quick, snappy little voice note.
Are you engaged, mate?
And now Ben has them all in one place where he can share them with other coaches. Now, it also incorporates the Spotify API to bring in playlists that Ben can use during different tasks, whether that be for squats in the morning or the energizers in the afternoon.
And that's the end of our demo, but let's see how we got here. Carl is going to drag himself away from the DJ deck and talk us through the user research.
Yeah, thanks, James. To begin our user research, we set out to find the current issues users had with remote learning. As well as asking our client directly, we sent out a form to our target demographic, which would be teachers, lecturers, workshop speakers, basically anyone we thought would use distance learning tool in a teaching capacity. Now, our research focused on the different features available to Zoom and how they're used to help with learning. What we found was the majority of respondents thought the raise hand feature was useful, but not used enough and not prominent in a way that would encourage engagement. And then when thinking about the live poll feature, a majority of the respondents didn't think the feature was effective in encouraging engagement, and over 90% didn't think it was used enough within a learning environment. Now, we took this research and ideated over different solutions we could come up with that would help solve some of these issues.
So after completing the Disney ideation, we created user stories to help us understand 4 key features that we could use to improve engagement. And we also used this first sprint to research all the different technologies that we could possibly use. And throughout this whole process, we've used agile ways of work, for example, having daily stand-ups and daily retros. And this was all our first experience using Jira for project management, but we found it really useful having an easily accessible backlog of tasks that we could all work on at different times. And we also use Confluence as a single source of truth for all of our documentation. So our second sprint focused on building out our key minimum viable product, the thermometer. And another key goal for the sprint was deployment. So we implemented backend testing with Supertest so that we could deploy our backend safely on Heroku. And we deployed our front end on Netlify. And we planned out short sprints, so we had lots of time for reflection throughout the build. And user feedback and sprint reviews really influenced our key goals of the following sprints. So focusing in on the design of the MVP, we built the thermometer with a mobile-first design so that coaches who often have to navigate lots of different tabs and participants who might not have access to multiple screens could all access the app in the browser of their mobile phone. And at a minimum, we wanted to have a live response from the participants using sockets. So all in all, we focused on building reusable components and socket logic so that we could quickly build out more features as part of our initial stretch goals.
When considering the design of the app, we began by mapping out our MVP into something visual, starting with sketches and then moving on to Figma to create low-fidelity wireframes for both the speaker and the participant views. We then used our user feedback to iterate and make changes. We made design choices to accentuate our key features and laid out the solution in a way that gives an overall enjoyable experience for the user. Now I'll pass you over to Hazy, who will discuss our key technologies.
Yep, so as you can see from this diagram, we used a range of technologies throughout the project, all of which were new to us at the beginning of the bootcamp. But from building this application, we really got hands-on with them. As for the front-end technologies, we primarily built this with the React JavaScript framework. So we enjoyed bringing in different libraries to get different features. For example, the push.js library let us bring in notifications which you could customize. And we were excited to do this because the notifications were essential to our application to get these application-wide instant alerts to all the participants so they know when a session is going to begin. So once the thermometer MVP was functional, we deployed the front end with Netlify, which was quick once we got over the initial challenge of the setup. And we enjoyed the continuous deployment this gave us as we could quickly get our feedback and see our changes that we made throughout the rest of the development of the MLP. So now I'll pass you to James, who will tell you more about the backend technologies.
And when deciding on the back-end tech, we felt as we were using JavaScript on the front end, it made sense to play to our strengths and use JavaScript on the back end. However, 2 important items are, firstly, that we chose to use Heroku, and this lets us host our back-end in the cloud and use continuous deployment, which will automatically deploy our changes as we go along. But also, Heroku allowed us to maintain a microservices type of architecture of separate services communicating together rather than one monolithic or combined application. Secondly, and as you've seen from the main features, we have Socket.io, and this features a lot throughout the project. We chose this as it gave us a way to easily integrate that real-time server-client connection, providing the all-important live feedback that the app relies on. Now that only leaves testing, and Becky will talk us through how we approach that.
We used end-to-end and unit testing to make sure our important components were robust and for integrating the user flow. As well as Jest and Supertest, we also use Cypress. We chose Cypress over other testing platforms such as Selenium as it offers DOM manipulation and operating directly in the browser. My personal favourite feature of Cypress was its largely visual aspect with support in tracking the results you want to have. combined with the snapshot and pin to console, means that you can scroll the individual tests as happening and even select specifics. Having automatic save and reload means altering code and running tests can happen simultaneously, helping with real-time developing and parallel work. All of these features and more aid with finding and tackling errors easy and efficiently, saving time, reducing stress and minimalising bugs. It's not just Bear Grylls who likes to snack on them. Now over to Carl, Cumby and James to discuss the callback cats good, bad and sometimes ugly.
Thanks, Becky. Coming into this final project, we'd already learned a huge amount in the 12 weeks period. I can say within this last 4-week period, we've probably learned just as much, if not more, as we've not only had to utilise what we already knew, we had to figure out what we didn't know, and that for me has been a massive success.
And we've definitely had to overcome some challenges along the way. We came into this project with most of us only having a little knowledge of WebSockets, and getting the functionality we wanted was at times difficult. But we knew that it was about breaking down the problems and reading the documentation that would lead us to the solutions.
And together as a team, we've all worked exceptionally well, in paired programming, in threes, but also knowing when to come together to discuss things as a team of 6. So it can be difficult whilst working remotely, but we've made use of all the possible tools to make sure that communication was not an issue. And all in all, one of the biggest successes, not just on this project, but of the whole bootcamp, was how we've all adapted to work well as an agile team. So now I'll hand over to Becky, who will talk you through what we could have achieved if we had even more time.
Throughout these 4 weeks, we pushed ourselves to build all of our initial stretch goals, but software is always developing. You can see EngageMate future plans. With another sprint, we could implement Next.js. That would allow server-side rendering, making it more lightweight, faster, and enabling the app's scalability, making the application usable for multiple cohorts and rooms at the same time. Another sprint, we could get the app to sit on your desktop by using Electron.js. Another sprint, an interaction feature like a chat room, displaying people's avatars, which could help with building relationships, promoting engagement, and preventing feelings of isolation.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you like EngageMate as much as we do. We've absolutely loved working together on this project and would love to answer any questions you might have, so feel free to visit us later on to take a closer look at the app. We'd also like to give a shout out to the School of Code for this brilliant opportunity and to our mentors for giving up their time to help and advise us over the past 16 weeks.